Wicked. Wicked tones, you know.
It's been suggested that I do this. I don't know if anyone can sense my reluctancy through the camera. I get asked a lot of time like how to structure a chest workout. I show a lot of chest movements and tweaks and shit like that, but it's like I don't do full workouts for YouTube a lot of the time because I have so many issues. So it's like it's not like I can just do any exercise anytime and just nail it, because like I physically am limited in what I can do with my shoulder mobility and different shit, lower body issues and stuff like that. So this will kind of be how I would structure it. I might give you alternative movements to what I'm doing, and obviously there's going to be alternative movements for things like this kind of press. Like a lot of gyms don't have this press, but a lot of machines have machine presses. So it's the same type of idea, right? But I'll give you my thinking behind it. So when I come in the gym, let's say a lot of times when I get here, my shoulders kind of like, let's say it's almost like it's rolled forward, or it feels like it's locked, and I have to get the shoulder to like slowly retract back to sitting in a spot where I feel like it's sitting where it should sit. My scapula is where it is, and I feel more set down and locked in my shoulder. There's a lot of times from like overnight sleeping and stuff, I end up kind of here, or like favoring it here and can't open my arm. So my first movements is always going to be, depending on how that's doing or how I'm feeling, it's going to be an effort to get that to open up and get the shoulder to retract. So it's not about weight. It's not about like, oh man, I gotta hit this muscle area in my chest. Just the angle is dictated by my ability to get range in my shoulder and begin to start moving and pressing, right? So I started doing this the last few weeks just because it feels pretty good in the sense that it doesn't, a lot of machines, like we preach full range of motion, but a lot of machines you don't need to, especially when you have these issues, right? So if I was to do full range of motion here and I'm off the stopper now, I'm pulling this, like yes, I'm getting a good stretch, but it's not conducive to like where I'm at right now in my session. Can't get there right now. So I have to almost start myself in this position where I'm locked into lat and palm. So I'm almost in a half rep right here. There's no depth, right? So, but I'm locked in to be where I'm locked into pec, lat, hand. Shoulders down, and I'm locked into this area. So all this area is stuck, let's say, for lack of a better word, engaged, if you want to sound really fancy. And my weight is kind of forward on my hands, almost like in a dip position, or like a push-up. So it's the same thing. All I'm going to do from here is allow that a little shift backwards to get that shoulder to retract a bit, and then move. So I'm only working in this little range where I feel comfortable with that shoulder getting a little retraction, then getting full push out, right? So I'm rocking and massaging my shoulder back into depth, and then rocking up and driving out through hand. So the palm of my hand and that drive underneath my thumb is where a lot of the weight's going, and into the back of the pad, obviously, right below my armpits. So not my traps, like my mid-back. So I'm catching into lats, catching into like armpit area, pushing back through the same line that I'm pressing out of. So I'm going to rocking up here, and it's more of a fly press, as in I'm opening elbows to come back, and then I'm rocking around with bent elbows still. I never come here and go, because I'll lose it, right? So I'm trying to keep that shoulder in a constant state of rocking back and forth and moving my body, allowing that to happen, and then being able to get a little more flex and squeeze at the top, right? So I can start pumping blood into an area that I would consider cold because we're just starting. So I'm not going to try and kill myself. So I'm going to work into these ranges of motion throughout the lifts, right? And for most guys, the thinking on this would be, if I'm going to do these little kind of warm-up things to get the pec firing, there's a lot of strain on the shoulder, as everyone knows, to do a decline press. This is probably the worst position for your shoulder. Like, it's fucking hard on your shoulder, right? So, but a lot of guys have a problem with developing this lower pec area, if you want to really call it that. They want to stimulate this under boob, let's say. So what I would do is the same thing here, is I would jam out about thumb distance and I would tuck in here. So I'm pushed back here, I'm locked on elbow and palm. Same way I was locked there, just different angle. So I'm here, I'm going to catch here a bit, shoulder pushes, out. So I'm just catching to where shoulder relaxes and back engages, push. So it's not this, it's just like jamming out on a straight line. So this is straight back at me, straight out. At no point am I arcing handles or driving up through things. I'm just pulling, letting my wrist accommodate the movement, pushing up through and driving picking up pecs. So I'm using my feet to get up a bit in the seat and lift up through. But the drop is still straight. I'm controlling the path of the movement of the machine. Just because it can go up doesn't mean I have to let it. So if you notice yourself, it's almost like if I'm braking, if I do this and I'm braking, let's say I'm doing one hand to show you guys, if I'm braking here, I'm tucked right behind elbow. If this happens, you're fucked. So if my elbow's here and I'm tucked in here, and all of a sudden my elbow kicks up to push, that's not what I want. I want to stay tucked behind that palm, pushing through both sides. So if both sides are grabbing, I'm stacked on elbow right now. Squeezing into lats tight my elbows. I don't want to do a rep, so I'm good first rep. I don't want to mirror and go and see that elbow go up behind, pop up above higher than my hand, and then swoop back down. That's not what we're trying to do. So you're not going to be able to do the whole stack. I'm doing 40 fucking pounds. I'm engaging my pec, right? I'm not trying to train my fucking ego and see how much I can move every rep. I'm trying to stimulate these two little boobs I'm trying to get going. That's it. I'm not trying to, look, Mike did 100 pounds there. Yeah, he ripped his fucking shoulder. I would probably start with 3 or 4, depending on how I'm feeling and how much, like I'm using this as a, you might hear me say this in another video too, but I'm using this as like a primer set. I'm trying to get blood into an area. I'm realizing that this isn't make or breaking my strength goals or fucking leading to some like magnificent part of my lift, but like every rep counts, every rep means something. These reps are helping me, allowing me to get into ranges and stretch and move through ranges that are going to allow me to use more power and more weight later on in the workout, right? So as you get older, you guys and girls out there that are probably laughing at this method, you're going to thank me. Watch this video in 15 years. Oh, maybe I should have done that when I started. Mike was right, because my shoulders are fucked. So when I take off here, if I take off here, most people's natural tendency is to be here. See how jacked I am in my trap, even if I hold this? It's because you're more powerful here, they think. But if you lock into mid-back, so I'm rolling like I would on a bench press, literally if I'm powerlifting, I'm trying to coil my back under. Obviously I can't get the same arch because I'm not laying down. I'm trying to dig my shoulders down. So when I push through here, it's my elbows squeezing through and engaging my lat. So as you can see across the plane of my shoulders, is flat. I'm not up in my ears. And I want to stay flat like that, like someone's pushing me down all the time, and just feel that retraction of shoulder and that push of hand out. So I can't go here and go, ooh. It's got to be here and my force goes back into the bench, so I push my force back, I extend that palm. By doing that, your chest will lift naturally. You don't need to lift your chest. It's just a cue you tell people, because if they physically think about lifting their chest, they're going to throw their weight back. But I'm pushing my weight back into the seat. So from here, if someone put their hand behind me, they couldn't fit it between my back and the seat. There's no room for you. There's too much pressure back there, right? Here they could do it, but then I would crush their hand as I'm pushing back. So all my power and all the energy I have for extension is coming through me pushing off the bench behind me and driving that force out. I'm not in midair going, as you can see, looks nothing like what I was just doing. And it's an arm press. And you'll get up and you'll be like, my arms are pumped, but my chest's still fucking cold, so what the hell was I doing that for? And on reps like this, where you're controlling ranges, you're gonna have to go slow on negatives. You're gonna have to control and know where to pause and feel that shift, because its natural motion is way back there. So I'm blunting that natural line by catching here and squeezing. So I have to slow down, engage lats, engage hands and elbows and tuck in and drive through. So I have to slow things down, flex through things again. I can't just hope that it works. I only went a certain distance and I push. Because by the end of the time you're pushing, if you're doing this half rep stuff that we're doing, it's gonna be, or you know what I mean? Like, so every time you come in the gym, it's gonna, your exercise selection and your output and your let's say, I don't know a better way to say it, your ability to do well in the gym is going to be dictated on how you feel that day. Like today I'm pretty rested. Got beat up pretty bad on Wednesday and Friday by 2 different massage people, so my shoulder took a beating, but now it's like, oh, it's calming down now, it's moving a little better, right? So you can kind of push the envelope a bit. But after this, we will literally walk in the other room And I will look at a machine and be like, that's what I'm gonna do. Because in my mind, I know I can do that today. Over rushing, understanding tempo of lifts, and like letting this negative sit. So this isn't crazy heavy weight, but I'm letting this negative sit so I can, as you can see at the start of the workout, I can only get this much range of my shoulder to rock out of. Now I can come here a bit and I can feel the retraction happening easier and easier. I can ride. So it's a lot more depth I can feel. Maybe you can't visually see, but I can feel the transfer of weight of my shoulder rocking back behind my ear and then pushing up through. So I'm getting more range in here. So I can pull this shoulder back more, I can push it out more. Pull it back more, I can get this retract, fire on this side. Once I feel this like shoulder moving back and forth feeling, able to move, rock and rock and rock and rock, I know I can be more efficient at doing chest, right? If I came in and I did dumbbell presses right away, I'm gonna do 8 sets before I even, so I don't think it's correct. People will look at this and they're like, oh, he's pre-exhausting his muscle, or he's whatever. It's like, no, I'm priming a fucking engine to start. You go out in the middle of fucking when it's minus 30 degrees Celsius out and fire your car up instantly and drive off? Or do you let it warm up for like 10 minutes and then you drive? And it's like nice and warm when you get in there. It's fucking beautiful, right? The fucking windows are clear. I mean, so even here as the shoulder starts to loosen, this can be more of a swing. I'm no longer controlling so much because my shoulder's relaxing and pushing. Now I can almost rock out because I'm naturally getting looser as I move. So now it's a swing and press almost, because that mobility in the shoulder is getting better. Now I can move the way I want to move, right? So that's how a lot of people watching me are in my age demographic. Young guys don't really like me because I make fun of you guys a lot. Even though I got nothing but love for you. It's just jokes. It's like, you know, if you don't do these things, you're not going to have the workout you want to have, right? I went to the eye doctor the other day because my left eye's been bothering me. So I have like something going on. They're like, you're losing your vision. You have to take your eye. So I was like sick. So what I'm going to do is I'm in the process of getting a glass eye made that just has a W on it. That's like neon. And it'll shoot fucking laser beams out of it and burn tripods when it sees them. So I'll be like, it's like Cyclops, like